Good afternoon and welcome to the sunset safari here at WildEarth TV. You are extremely welcome, and I hope that wherever you are in the world you are feeling good and you have something pleasant to drink or eat in front of you, and that you're going to settle in and watch us for the next 3 hours as we take you through the wilds of the Kruger National Park and a small section on the western side of it called Juma, and off to the west of that a section called Arathusa. We're on about 1,500 hectares in an unfenced, untrammeled 3.5 million hectare Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. It's all rather complicated with all the names, but all you have to know is that the animals are free rein to move in 3.5 million hectares of wildlife land, and we are here on the very western edges in one of the prime spots, and that spot is called Juma. You are on a live safari. In case you didn't know, this is not edited. It is receiving you are receiving this 12 seconds after I say it, and so you are virtually live. Nothing I can say can be filtered to you, and that is possibly not a good thing for you, and I certainly feel a certain sense of danger when I consider it myself. Now, we are, as I say, in the Lowveld of South Africa. Off to the far east we have the Rhyolite Mountains of the Lebombo. Just down from them, coming westwards, we've got the basalt plains, and further from towards us here it's mainly granite underneath these sandy soils, and a bit of gabbro, which is a sort of transformative rock. I've forgotten the exact term of it. It's all igneous and it's all very ancient. And off to the far west, and I'm not sure if Wium can show it or not, there are some conical hills, and they go off in the foothills. Now you can't see them apparently, sorry about that, but they go off towards the Drakensberg, the mighty Ukahlamba Drakensberg Mountains, which go 1,000 kilometers down the escarpment of South Africa. My name is James Hendry. I am going to be your guide for the rest of the afternoon, provided I can get out of this tree without killing myself. And on camera today we have Wium, who is dressed in summer garb because it is a very pleasant, probably 26 or 27 degrees Celsius. And in the control room we have the red hair of Kirsty and the blonde of Nikki, and they will be in the control room this afternoon. On the other vehicle we have the Men's Health model Scott Dyson, and he is being filmed by the somewhat insane Andrew Joe Francis, and we will be responsible for entertaining you, I hope, for the next 3 hours. My plan today is to head a little bit off to the west to try and find Sindile, a young 1-year-old leopard cub who has been providing us with a huge amount of entertainment for the last few days. In fact, he's into day 7 of being on his own. His mother, some would say a somewhat negligent mother, I would being one of them, is off in the far, far west. She's gone 2 properties over and was seen today following the Anderson male, who is mating with what is known as the Shimpalampala female from Londolozi. So she's 2 farms west and 1 farm to the south of us. She's a long way from Sindile and unlikely to come back today. Sindile, on the other hand, has managed to make himself a number of very fine kills, we think. His belly is full, his coat is shiny, and he seems to be in fine fettle. Now, I'm going to attempt to dismount from this somewhat rickety knobthorn tree, and should I fall, Wium has been doing first aid training today, so he is going to help me if I do myself an injury. Now, watch this for elegance, Wium. Are you watching? Huh?
Well done, James.
Thank you so much. God. You know, as a presenter, our egos are very fragile, and we do need constant compliments, or we tend to go into our shells. Right, on we go. I feel quite relieved about that. Right, now Sindile was found not too far from here, and we're going to pop around to where he was this morning. If he has moved on, which is quite possible, because he has been hunting quite a lot, we will probably go off on foot and see if we can find him, and then drive in afterwards. Please remember, this is, as I say, a live safari, relatively, in that you are 12 seconds behind us, but you are welcome to send through questions and comments, #SafariLive, or questions@wildearth.tv if you are on the email. And just remember, tomorrow we are changing times. We are going half an hour earlier here, so we'll start at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then half an hour later in the evening we'll start at 3:30. And Patty in Canada was asking, what does that mean for them with Eastern time in North America? Well, that means, Patty, that you will start the dawn safari at 12 a.m., so at midnight, and the sunset safari, which is what we're on now, at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. Obviously it's in the morning because it's a.m., right? So, Patty, that's where we are tomorrow. Thank you, Dennis in Lakeville. Thank you, I think. You say that I am now no longer the dwarf mongoose, but because of my tree climbing skills, I am the blue-headed tree agama. Dennis, is that a compliment? So Sindile was just in here today, and in the past week, during which he's been alone, he's been wandering about in this area, probably in an area no larger than 2 hectares. So about 4 rugby fields or 4 NFL football fields if you happen to be in North America. Not much bigger than that, and he seems to have found enough to eat, franklins and dwarf mongoose, and we think he took a steenbok. I know he was stalking one today and he failed, but there was a substantial drag mark yesterday that Scott found, and we think that he possibly killed a steenbok. Excuse me 1 second, I just need to quickly address Stefan on the radio. Go ahead. Yeah, affirmative. we just have to leave this radio for Steph, who is on foot. It's at the junction, well, it's 100 meters from the, on Gurry Main, 100 meters from the junction with Triple M. Affirmative. Right, we are going in here. Sindile was somewhere in these guarri bushes. Now, yesterday, when we found him on foot, in fact, Wium and I and Tara Dales, who came on a rare tracking expedition with us yesterday, we found him on foot, and he just popped his head up. And so what we need to look for here is just the odd spot and perhaps the telltale roundness of his ears. I don't think he would have moved too far from this morning, but like I say, he was hunting. So we'll just do a quick loop through here. Heads. Where are you, young Sindile?
Nyala.
There's a Nyala.
Yeah.
Right, so that is not normally an excellent sign that there's a leopard around. I'll just show you this Nyala. Well, Wium will show him to you. Is that okay, Wium?
Hello.
And I'm just going to have a listen and a look around to see if I can see the ears sticking up from somewhere. Sindile, of course, also loves termite mounds, of which there are very few where we are currently sitting. That is a male Nyala, one of the most beautiful antelope that we find out here. Females are a rich sort of russet red, and the males obviously that charcoal browny grey. Beautiful. So I can't see young Sindile at the moment. We're going to drive a little bit through here, and then we might have to leave you and go off on foot for a while. I'm looking at a log, to be honest. But I've spotted something. It may well be just a log. It is in fact a log. Right. Sorry about that. Driving around searching for this little fellow who has provided us with so much joy over the last week. Insomniac, I think perhaps your question is a very good one. You want to know, do I think Shadow will ever come back to Sindile, or will she just sort of leave him? Insomniac, I'm starting to wonder that myself. She's so far away from him now, still chasing the males, that I don't know if there isn't something a bit odd with her physiology that is making her come into estrus more frequently than would normally happen. So I don't know, Insomniac. I don't know if she's going to come back. He is starting to range a little bit more widely now than he did before, so I'm really not sure. But what I can say is that I think as long as he stays in his father's territory, as long as he stays in Tingana's territory, I think he'll be okay, because he's managing to kill on his own. And he might join up with Shadow again if she has more cubs, and they may share kills, but the important thing is that he's managing to look after himself on his own right now. And I don't think that that's to be sneezed at. And perhaps he'll be absolutely fine if she never comes back. His danger will be if he wanders into another male's territory, and if that male gets wind of him, he will be in trouble. But clearly he hasn't had to be taught to do too much hunting. He's clearly managed to do quite a lot of it on his own. I'm just going to drive around on the road and just check that his tracks haven't crossed before we do too much off the road. Try not to run over the radio I just dropped here. Which is a very good question, Insomniac, and one which we will only answer in a little while. Right, I think rather than bore you with the search, we're going to probably go off on foot and see if we can find Sindile. And while we're doing that, let's go across to Scott, see what his plans are for the afternoon, and I will see you in just a little while, hopefully with a little spotted cat or two. See you now.
Hello everyone, and welcome on board with myself, Scott, and I'm teamed up with Andrew on camera this afternoon. It's a beautiful day. This morning it was cloudy, but at about midday that started to change, and we've basically got clear skies, but it is a little bit hazy, typical for this time of the year. And really looking forward to this afternoon's safari with all of you. Now, I wasn't out this morning. I slept in and enjoyed the morning off. But thankfully, Brent and James filled me in on all that happened last night. Oh, Andrew, go for it quick. No, the eagle. We went for different things.
That's impossible.
Earlier on, we saw a batelier flying alongside us, and I just assumed that Andrew would have continued keeping his eye on it, but he found another bird that he zoomed into in the bush. I didn't even see it. But isn't this beautiful? It's one of my favorite things to watch. And on a hot day like this, it makes for very easy and efficient flying for the birds of prey. And as you'll notice, no flapping is required, and it's probably traveling anywhere between 30 and 50 miles an hour, using very little or no energy at all. Great. Well, like I said, it's one of my favorite things to share with you, that of the predatory birds soaring up above us. And it's always a bit tricky. As you saw, it was just a tiny speck in the distance, yet when we first saw it, it was just above us. So it gives you a good idea of how quickly they travel.
Are you joking? Are you joking? Really? Oh, hello everybody. I was somewhat more prepared for this than I was the last time, so I'm slightly less out of breath than I was, and we're live. No luck on Sindile, I'm afraid. We are doing our best to find him in here. I found one track just inside there heading this way. Now what we've done is we've come around from the eastern side there. We've come around towards this area, and there was one track coming this way. And he's been going up and down so much that I just wonder whether he's in here or he's crossed the drainage line to go and look for something there. I'm not sure. But the fact that there was one track heading this way is a good sign. So while you're back on the vehicle with us, we'll just do a little loop through here and see if we can spot something. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Wium, for your calm call. Getting quite fit during those crash cuts. So the track was sort of heading towards that termite mound there. Might not be a bad place to start again. Please excuse the odd crunching noise. Put your heads, everybody. Don't take a sip of your drink just yet. So the track was just in here.
There he is, right there.
Where?
Like 2 o'clock?
You mean right next to where his track was?
Yes.
That is marvelous. Wium has spotted him. Wium, point the camera to him. I don't know where he is. I can't see him.
You see him now?
I can't see anything. Can you still see him?
Yes.
Everybody, can you see him? Oh, no. I still can't see him. Oh, there he is. Well spotted, Wium. I must have been... I must have been maybe 10 meters from that when Wium called me back. Purely by chance. I found the track by chance. So it wasn't like I was tracking him to where he is now. Well spotted, Wium. Right, in we go. That is marvellous news. I was beginning to get a little nervous that Sindile had absconded to set up a territory somewhere else without us. But there he is. Magnificent little fellow that he is. Well done, Wium. Hello, little boy. How's it going? Is that alright for you?
Yeah, man.
Whew. Let us just soak up the atmosphere for a little while and enjoy the sight of this completely magnificent animal. He has now gone from almost being my favourite to definitely being my favourite. Look at him. There is something behind those eyes, though, that will always be wild. So while we look at him, and especially when he is lying like a Labrador next to the winter fire, when he looks up at you, those eyes have definitely got, and will always have, an element of the completely wild. Completely accustomed to human beings if you raise them from cubs. They never lose that very wild streak, and that, of course, as they get older, especially the males, becomes more and more pronounced. And you can almost see it in the expression on their faces. You never sit like this with Tingana or Mvula or Anderson or any of the other big males and get the same feeling from them. I get a real sense of from Sindile, I guess I get a sense of peace, relaxation, but I don't ever get the same feeling from those big territorial males. So he will change. I'm just trying to see if I think he's eaten or if he's looking a little bit skinny. So I'm looking at his belly. I think it looks pretty full. It's also very furry, and certainly we're at a chillier afternoon. I might like to get out and go and snuggle up to his belly there. And Tula, you've heard me calling him Sindile. You've also heard me say that he is now officially called Madiba by the Simbambili, and at least the Arethusa Rangers who found him as a young cub. Apparently I jumped the gun a bit there. I heard somebody from Arethusa referring to him as Madiba, and so I assumed that that name had been given. But normally it's only given at independence. So probably when he's, well, supposedly when he's about 18 months to 2 years old. So at the moment we're still going to call him Sindile. And for those of you who are confused, it's entirely my fault. But I think we'll keep calling him Little Sindile for now. I remain unconvinced that Madiba is the best name for him, but you know, it's not up to me. I'm just going to call him in on the radio, everybody, not Sindile, of course. I mean, I just need to announce that he is here. So please excuse me 1 second. Station's located Shadow's Cub, now about 300 meters from the junction with Triple M and Gari. Main best approach is Rebecca's now, and from the brown ivory tree you can head in a southwesterly direction.